Evil Empire have provided the game code, but all the thoughts and comments are my own. I guess it's hard to argue with the fact that the Prince of Persia franchise has been not in its best shape for the last decade. After the Sands of Time trilogy, the series has been losing audiences' interest in favor of Assassin's Creed, and even when Ubisoft tried to make some Prince games, they would be received worse and worse than their predecessors. Luckily, their trend has changed with The Lost Crown and has been received quite favorably, as it's been developed by a Montpellier team, and it turned out to be a modern great Metroidvania style of Prince that returns to its roots in a lot of aspects. Next, Ubisoft has decided to order the roguelike version of Prince from Evil Empire, the dead famous for Dead Cells series, and it is the second great decision because the roguelike format matches the Prince's foundation perfectly. It's currently in early access and it only contains a portion of the full game, a limited number of levels and a limited number of bosses, but still, it does not mean that even early access cannot provide a lot of fun gameplay time. The story premise for the game is that Prince of Persia tries its best to protect his country from the invasion, and he gets help from mysterious magical forces that allow him to return back in time to try once again, but with better weapons and better skills. You also meet various NPCs that affect the playthrough, and in some ways it reminds me of Deadloop, where you need to complete the levels in specific order to get a specific ending for your current run, and that's a nice touch to a traditional roguelike experience. I also like the overall looks of the game. Its art style is something that reminds me of Guacamelee, but with milder color palette. It leaves the visual impressions of cartoonish Persia while still being unique, and I like that I cannot directly compare the graphics of the game to any other in the genre. Its uniqueness can sometimes be distorted by the animations from Dead Cells, and certain scenes and animations heavily resemble the first Hades game, especially the death animation. In total, I like the bright but soft color choices, and I like even the design of the dialogue screens reminding your regular Cartoon Network show. But what I like the most is the combat, movement and platforming that are directly interconnected and constitute a great chunk of gameplay, the rest being collecting and unlocking more weapons and skills. The basic movement feels like Dead Cells, but the jumps, the slides, the wall runs and other movements are a lot more fluid, snappy and always satisfying to perform. It is always fun to run from one wall to another to land with a diving attack on the enemy's head, and this feeling never diminishes, even with the same level over and over again. The levels also contain traditional roguelike stuff like power-ups, weapon unlocks, traders, smiths that improve your weapon attack, and platforming challenges providing the most valuable rewards. The challenges are sometimes close to the Hollow Knight's Path of Pain, but they're definitely worth beating for a better weapon or a skill. The weapons in early access are represented by quite decent variety, from the fast and short daggers to traditional short and broadswords to even heavy axes and long spears. All feel different and play differently and make you move differently. The same applies to the ranged weapons, varying from bows to throwables and even the grappling hooks. The same applies to skills, making your playthrough different with each run. The skills are equipped in sequence of 4 and can be combined. For example, your kick can put enemies on fire, while your dive attack can cover the floor in resin, and when combined, this creates the burning resin effect, dealing increased damage, which is especially helpful against bosses. The positioning of the skills is also important, as they improve the nearby skills. In other words, making the build does not feel the same and makes you adapt your gameplay accordingly. Among the nitpicks, I can mention the inability to quit the game without resetting the run, better mouse and keyboard support for PC, and better loading times between traversing the levels. But all of these most probably be fixed in further updates, along with more weapons and skills combined with new levels and bosses. As for now, it's definitely worth picking up and supporting the devs. My only hope is that with good Metroidvania and a great roguelike, the Ubisoft can order a new Prince of Persia from Platinum Games, as we still need a great slasher, and these guys could definitely do just that.